Stay. Left. 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 Stay. Left. Left. Stay. Stay.
When people play sport, they pretend it's important to win because that's a way of making themselves pay attention and have pleasure in running about. Of course, when it's over, nobody's really bothered, you know, it's like, who won, you know, even you need to be a bit mad to really care. And if everybody was only interested in winning, there would never be any sport because everybody knows that only one team win. And if you ever see little kids playing with the ball, and they run about for fun with the ball. They don't have the idea, I've got to beat somebody or I've got to score a goal or something. So in a way where we've gone back to that. Who likes to play football? Or netball? Or basketball? Yeah. So what we did was decide that actually the reason most people play games is because it's really good fun. And take away scoring goals and take away complaining that you're not good enough and the other one's better and who's best, and take all those things away and just try to make a dance about what fun it is to run about together and play. My background before I started dancing in my early 20s was actually in sport. I played rugby and squash and quite a lot of other things too. The one thing that attracted me when I got into dancing, I started doing a thing called contact improvisation, which seemed to me to be the best things about sport without the bit where you have to kind of be obsessed with winning. So that's the kind of feel that I've tried to get into this piece. We've got some set drills and set material, but what happens after the set drills or set material, people don't know. So they have to be ready. If they're not ready to respond to what might happen next, then they're not in that mood of the sport. And there's one, for example, there's one section in it where it's completely set, where we played a competitive game actually of throwing the beanbag and trying to intercept each other. And we played and played and played, and then we set it so that people know exactly where that's going. But the idea is that we try to keep the feel that they don't know. So the real energy of the game is there, and then we took the beanbag away so it just becomes movement. So no, you can see where the beanbag would have gone, but actually that's now removed, so you just see the patterns of movement, and it becomes very organic.
The main thing was trying to keep that kind of athletic energy going, so I think we did a good job at that. There's another quality as well that makes it an endurance sport. We could work on that a little bit, but I think the energy was good.
We can be more playful in this. I felt like there's some things you could be more kind of easy in a way.
The dance that we do, what they've done, they've really done something different with it, and it was really good. No, I really liked it.
I've never seen anything like that. I thought it was really different, really unique, and there was a whole different edge to it. I loved it.
I liked the way it was kind of improvised and then structured and then improvised. The joint, the connection between them, I thought was really, really amazing. So it was a wonderful piece. So it was.
So the same way that, you know, 22 people get on a football pitch, in one way everybody knows what's going to happen. If you know the rules of football, you know they're just going to do the same thing over and over again for 90 minutes with a little gap in the middle of 10 minutes. But actually what happens is always different. And that's the beauty of it, that, you know, when you feel the rules liberate you.
nice. I like it doing it in this like atmosphere. It's really charged. So
yeah, and the music sounded good because this one's so high. But looking forward to keeping on all week to see how it
kind of develops as a piece.
We know the sections, but like each time something different happens. So, and because we've worked together a lot, we kind of know each other and are able to kind of trust each other's and give time in between things, you know. So happy with it, and we're getting like fitter, because it is so energetic. We'll be like
super fit athletes by the end of it.
I've never seen them take an activity and create something different with dance with it. It's really fun to watch.
No, the circle all around. So going round the outside of that, right round, and then do the duets in this wee bit in the middle. The duets.
The intention was that it would be doable in a lot of different environments, as long as there's a basic amount of space in somewhere to do the set material parts. Then there's actually the play in it means that you can basically use whatever environment is there.
I thought it was really fun to see, like, as the music changed and the mood changed, you could physically see it in them, or they would immediately react with, like, however it synchronized really well. You could see the sporting theme a lot, and I kept, like, they would be doing something and I would be like, oh, that kind of reminds me of, you know, like American football or like something, and it was good, and I just kept being struck by the movement and how it made you want to get up and move, like it made you want to do something.
Now we've done it in 3 different environments, completely different, like quite a tight kind of studio kind of canteen environment, and then in a big sports hall yesterday, and then now in a children's playground, and it's kind of different in each place, but it kind of works. I like it, and it's an opportunity for the dancers to find how to apply the improvisation scores in a different context. So they've just started to discover that, and they were a bit nervous about doing it here, I think, before, but now I think it was really nice, and I think there's a lot of possibilities of feeling confidence that it works in different places. sports hall, for example, the electronic sounds, Gary really used those really well to create kind of pressure in that space, and he was pretty sparse with the stuff that went over the top, so there's this sense of there being a pressure in the room all the time. Here there's a bit more playful sort of sounds and a little bit more space, a little bit more silence in there. And then the moments where they change from one section to another, or where they comment on what is happening in the movement, they're getting much clearer about that, because they can now read the piece and read people's decision making as they improvise with much more subtlety.
Why does toys float up in the air? How can they happen?
Everybody else has to get very close to her, and then they have to get underneath, and then they have to push, and Tonya has to stay very awake. And she has to, if she goes to sleep, it gets a bit dangerous, because she has to be able to, like that. That's not a good idea. So if she stays with lots of energy, not stiff, very lively, let's do it again and send you right up. So you can do it, let's do it from the edges. So Tonya can stand in the middle. And you watch, they get very close, they don't rush, they go nice and smooth. The whole idea was to not limit it to performing in theatre spaces. So as we were making the piece, it was important to leave a lot of choices, a lot of freedom for the performers, so that they can adapt. And of course those adaptations might be quite substantial ones, like you're in a small space or a large space, so the rules and the structures of the score have to allow that to happen, and the material has to be able to be done in different sizes of space. But most of the influences are much more subtle than that, and it's one moment after another that have to do with how somebody is responding slightly different, because the atmosphere is different, the sound is different, or the temperature is different, or the time of day is different. So that's and the piece becomes different in different environments and different times and so on, because of those small changes that add up to bigger changes. So and for me that's what's very interesting, to watch people making those decisions, and it means that I get to see a fresh piece of work each time. It's not like seeing the same thing. Also not getting frustrated because the conditions are not perfect for it, because the whole point is that the conditions are part of it.
Kind of feels afterwards like you just want to lie down. I think the communication is really really well in this group. It's like you could just propose one thing and it's clear if everybody accept it, or like join or not to join, like not join, but like I know what you propose, but I want to do something else. But it's so clear the way that everybody decides what to do. I wanted to do something more ridiculous, something like more strange, I don't know, like had this kind of temptation. The energy from the kids is kind of this wild and like, and you want to kind of like be like kind of a kid, like do some extreme jumps, or like throw yourself on the floor sudden, or like suddenly run too fast or something like this. And it's also funny, like they kind of want to discuss everything what they saw, and like, oh yeah, and there's so many questions.
Originally I thought I might do it too, but then to see one man amongst 7 women, it kind of takes out something special of having 7 women, because that energy is often associated more with men. And to see 7 women play it, and also to see the 7 women with their energy, doing a lot of lifts, a lot of high energy, sweating a lot, and being very practical in how they play, that's a sort of special thing as well. Although of course you see that in, you know, women playing Gaelic games or in basketball or whatever, but somehow it's associated more with a man thing.
it's good to do it out here too, because you're sort of taking over a space in a way and changing the use of it. There's a friend does rugby, and he's going, I like the rugby bits, you know, and you could recognise some of the pieces in it. So it gives people something to kind of connect with in a way, but it's still dance, so they're actually watching and enjoying dance before they even realise what's happening, you know. So, and it was nice too that the audience were like actually sitting down as well on the ground and, you know, on the benches, and like they changed the way that they are in space as well. So instead of just a place that people are used to walking through or maybe standing and watching a band on Halloween or whatever, they're actually really taking over the space.
This space is, because it's outside and it's so big, and we have the walls up here, so some people were kind of watching quite sort of high up, and it kind of gives you more this space above your head and this big space.
I think it's evolving into a nicer piece with the music and the dancing now start to lock together, and I'm gaining more understanding because I started, I didn't have a clue what it was about, contact dancing and stuff, so by playing it and being involved in it, I think I'm learning a lot as well.
Even though it is all improvised, I think like the 4 weeks that we've done was able to be able to read the movements of the dancers a lot smoother and a lot clearer, so we can know when they're going under their transition points, you know, if they're going on they start off saying the loop butts and then they do the running butts, and it makes it a lot better for me and him. Even though we can improvise around it, it makes it a lot better and a lot tighter when we know exactly, so we can, you know, change the whole mood of the piece.
This is beautiful to be able to do this space a bit.
Couldn't do an audition for 7 dancers and make this piece in a month with them. I mean, it wouldn't work. You have to have people who understand about improvising, and also that improvising is not about making this shape, that shape, this shape. It's actually about the communication of the movement processes over time, and that's where the meaning comes from. And when people think about themselves as bodies, they don't do that. So most dancers are very poor improvisers because they don't really deal with the process of movement communication over time. They deal with making shapes. But getting people to feel the depth of their skill now, having worked with the company over a couple of years and being persistent in processes and methods which have a lot of depth.
The way that they were able to coordinate with one another was absolutely wonderful. How they could react to one another, it just was incredible.
I thought they worked really well together, and the slow motion I thought was particularly good. I thought it was great. It made you want to be out there with them.
This is the second time I've seen it. This is a lovely performance space for it. It's really nice.
I remember at one point thinking, I have no idea what section comes next, but it doesn't matter because I'm really in this one. I'm not, you know, I felt like I didn't have to hold on to the whole piece. I could just be inside it. So, yeah, no, really enjoyed it. It's kind of a pity it's the last one now because it feels like it's at a place where it's a good place.
It's really picking up, and now it's the end already. So.
And this is the first theatre space we've done it in. So that was kind of funny thinking about that this morning because we've done it so much non-theatre, like in schools or, you know, outside in the park or a sports centre. So usually we're always in theatres, but instead of the other way around, now the last place is in a theatre. Although it had this nice having the outside was really interesting.
People watch football, they don't think, why is that person lifting their arm up, why is that person running there? They can read it, and they also understand that sometimes they don't understand why somebody's doing something, and that's also interesting. Whereas the idea with dancing is that people tend to go, oh, I don't understand it. But actually, if you give people a kind of fairly simple, open door, then understanding why people are moving a certain way and not another way it's not so obscure. And the dance world have actually made it obscure, because actually a lot of contemporary dance and kind of modern ballet stuff it is just random. In Echo Echo and in this piece, in any improvisation piece that's successful, people have to be able to do things that make sense over time, create sense that has layers in it, and they have to be readable by their colleagues at least some of the time. Otherwise, their colleagues don't know what to do and what to say back. So actually, in a way, it's like a highly developed conversation, but a conversation which is accessible to an outside listener. In this case, the conversation is in movement. It's not just a practical conversation, it's a poetic conversation. It's got poetic potential and possibilities in it. And movement has its own grammar, and that grammar is not obscure to anybody. Most people have collected an idea of what dancing is not that. And dancing actually is that.